All right, folks, check this out. Hours after Donald Trump signed an executive order that he claimed would criminalize the constitutionally protected right of Americans to burn the American flag, a decorated Army veteran actually burned an American flag outside the White House in protest and was arrested. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to play, but I want to start with this one. This is footage of the actual burning and arrest provided by Peter Rothplatz, currently of Zateo, friend of the show.
However you feel that you may want to express yourself. There's a First Amendment right to burn the American flag. The Archdeacon in that house right there signed an executive order today saying that it was illegal to burn the American flag. No president can make a law, period. No Congress will make a law infringing on First Amendment rights. I'm burning this flag as a protest to that illegal fascist president that sits in that house. Do this for every single one of you American citizens. We burn this flag in protest to that president who feels that it's his right to do whatever he wants, make whatever law he wants. That President Trump put forward today. According to that executive order, I should be in prison right now serving 1 year.
You want to step with the...
So they cuff him. We've got some other clips to show as well, because while he was being detained, he protested some more. I mean, obviously, he didn't say anything on fire. But let's take a look at an article first, and then we'll take a look at the man himself and some additional clips. Washington Post, man burns U.S. flag near White House to protest Trump order. Secret Service detains man in Lafayette Square claiming to be an Army combat veteran. And he was subsequently identified by, I think it was Fox 5, a local chapter of Fox News. A man set fire to a U.S. flag across the street from the White House Monday evening to protest Donald Trump's anti-flag burning executive order. The man was arrested in Lafayette Square, but not on grounds of violating the order or burning the flag. Instead, he was charged with violating a law against setting fires at federal parks. Video posted on social media shows the man in the park saying that he would ignite the flag to protest Trump's order issued earlier Monday. The man called the order illegal. The Supreme Court has ruled that burning the flag is a mode of symbolic speech protected under the First Amendment. Trump's order appeared to acknowledge the court's decision, but to aim at instances of flag burning where he indicated that the court's ruling might not apply, such as when they result in incitement to, quote, imminent lawless action. In the video, the man who burned the flag described himself as a retired Army combat veteran. Quote, I fought for every one of your rights, he told perhaps 24 people gathered outside him near the park. The man said no president had the right to make an order infringing on the First Amendment. Quote, we burn this flag in protest, he said. After the man ignited the flag, the video showed a law enforcement officer quelling the blaze with a fire extinguisher. In the video, the man said the man was taken into custody by officers who appeared to be from the U.S. Secret Service. The Secret Service said it, quote, detained an individual in Lafayette Park for igniting an object. It said the person detained was then turned over to the U.S. Park Police, which has jurisdiction in the park. The park police said it made an arrest in connection with a fire that was prohibited under a section of a code of federal regulations that deals with fires in, on, or at parks, forests, or federal property. Neither agency reported specifically that the fire involved a man, and they did not identify the man by name. But we have since learned his name, courtesy again of Fox 5 and Newsweek and some others. So I want to clarify here that they did not arrest him on the grounds of violating Trump's executive order. This man protested Trump's executive order and was arrested because apparently there are federal regulations which says even if you're doing it on the cobblestones in Lafayette Park in a relatively small fire, you still can't ignite it. Okay. So let's take a look at the man himself. Who is Jay Carrey, veteran who burned U.S. flag after Trump's executive order? A 22-year Army veteran was arrested near the White House after setting fire to an American flag on Monday, hours after Donald Trump signed an executive order seeking to punish those who burn the American flag. Jay Carrey, a retired combat veteran and Bronze Star recipient, was taken into custody after the incident in Lafayette Park, Fox 5 reported. Newsweek has contacted Carrey and the U.S. Park Police for comment via email sent outside regular business hours. Okay. So he's a 22-year combat veteran, a recipient of the Bronze Star. His name is Jay Carrey. That's pretty interesting because most soldiers and most veterans tend to skew conservative. And here you have a man who's actually burning the very flag that he wore and protected and effectively represented in combat and on missions for the Department of Defense. But such is his dedication to the notion of free speech and free expression. I mean, who knows how he personally feels about burning the flag? It sounds like, at a bare minimum, he wanted to do it in just sheer protest. You know, you could see a situation where people who might not otherwise be particularly inclined to burn the American flag, which, by the way, historically, it was incredibly unpopular. I don't know what the polling is on it recently because you just don't see as much of it these days. But for years, it was considered unpopular, and a lot of people publicly supported a law which would prohibit the burning of a flag. But the Supreme Court said it doesn't matter if you think it's unpopular. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. You have the right to do it. You have the right to protest your country by burning the symbology of that country. Now, you can't you can't burn somebody else's flag. But if you have a flag, you can burn it. So it's interesting to see that some people who may not fit the profile of somebody who's particularly inclined to burn the flag might even be motivated to do it despite that. Like, you know what? Shit, normally I wouldn't burn a flag. But if you're going to tell me that you're going to violate with sheer executive order, not even congressional legislation, but by the stroke of executive fiat, with the stroke of the pen, that you're going to violate my free speech and free expression rights, well, the hell with you. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it outside your proverbial house, the White House. So we're going to play some more clips of Jay Carrey. I almost said Jim Carrey again. Jay Carrey, as he's being detained.
Do me a favor. I got a fuse right there.
The violation of his First Amendment right.
Yep, I'm being detained because I expressed my First Amendment right to burn the United States flag in public, not causing harm or causing any danger to any citizens or personnel in the area. That's okay. So what we get when we have a fascist...
Right here. You're the ones with firearms, not us.
No.
He's very polite. You notice that? Like he's in the middle of giving a speech, but the officer asks him a question. He stops and answers her question.
It's okay. It's okay. I accept this. I figured this was going to happen.
Hey, this is an illegal arrest. This is an illegal search.
Nothing worse than our brothers and sisters immigrants are receiving. Probably a lot better. I'm being treated very well. Not surprising, seeing as I'm a middle-aged white man.
He just took his phone.
And so he goes on and gives his protest for a couple more minutes and a couple of other clips. So I think you get the point, which is the Trump administration is trying to throw red meat to its base, okay? I talked about this on the Live and Learn stream that I do once a week last night, which is the frustrating thing about MAGA and about Trump is that they have the affectations of patriotism, right? They love the trappings of patriotism, but they're not particularly patriotic. I mean, Donald Trump is obviously not a patriot, and I would argue much of the MAGA movement is fundamentally un-American, fundamentally anti-patriotic, because patriotism isn't blind love of country. It's not like, fuck yeah, America's perfect, and if you criticize it or do it, no, America is profoundly flawed and deeply flawed. To me, I compare, some people say, America's like your spouse, and if you relentlessly criticize your spouse, it's going to kill your marriage. That is true, except I don't think that's the appropriate analogy. America is like a home. You don't marry America, you live in America. America is more analogous to a home. And if a home has flaws, if there are issues with the roof, if there's mold in the walls, if there are termites, you have to acknowledge that. And it would be foolish. Not only would it be dishonest, it would be incredibly stupid and dangerous for you to not acknowledge the things in your home which need to be repaired. It could endanger you. It could endanger your spouse. It could endanger your children, your pets. You have to acknowledge the flaws in your home, especially when they are serious flaws. And America still has serious flaws. That doesn't mean you hate your home. You love your home enough to still live there and to want to make it better. Donald Trump and MAGA don't really understand that. And so to me, that's actually at the heart of this executive order. And what's also interesting is every time something comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, the MAGA movement, both in and out of office, are obligated to treat it as divine gospel. So the White House official Twitter page says, actions have consequences. Burn the American flag, disrespect our nation, incite violence. 1 year in jail, no excuses. Of course, it got community noted For the United States Supreme Court in 1989 in Texas v. Johnson, flag burning constitutes symbolic speech that is protected by the First Amendment. So it got community noted. Andrew Egger of The Bulwark points this out. He's like, Trump is rhetorically going for just an unconstitutional violation of the First Amendment. Burn a flag, get a year in jail. But the people responsible for drafting that order at least understood that whether they like it or not, the Supreme Court has already ruled on this. And so they tried to provide some contours which would have a foot in both worlds. And so Andrew Egger points out, reading in between the lines, it's not hard to figure out what happened here. Trump has been saying for years that U.S. flag burners should get a year in jail. He told people to whip him up an executive order to do that. They said, right away, sir, and then went out and wrote him up an EO that gets as close to that as possible without running afoul of Texas v. Johnson, which is to say, not close in the slightest. But nobody seemed to have read him in on the difference. And because we live in a clown world where anything the president says now becomes instant dictum to which the whole apparatus of suck-ups, there's now 2 executive orders. The real one the president signed, and the vaporware everyone is pretending exists. So I don't know what's going to happen if and when people are prosecuted. Unlike this veteran who apparently was not prosecuted, at least officially, or arrested at least officially, on the grounds of this particular executive order. I don't know what's going to happen when the first arrests are made in conjunction with this executive order. I don't know how that's going to work because I'm sure it will be challenged. I don't know when and where it conflicts with Texas v. Johnson, if the Supreme Court would strike it down. But what I do know is on its face, Donald Trump is attempting, as he has attempted multiple times, to limit a person's free speech. If you're an American, you don't have the free speech rights that you did before Trump, as far as he's concerned, if he doesn't like how you express your free speech. And this 22-year Army veteran, this decorated combat veteran, Jay Carrey, recognizes that, and he gave an act of symbolic protest and was arrested. I don't know where it goes from here, but what I will tell you in a separate video is that even some prominent conservatives are like, this is getting pretty fucked up. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.